girls with their nails done now.
If you found this helpful or slightest bit entertaining, if you like spending some time, then go ahead and subscribe so we can be friends. And now I will get into some of the gym stuff. That way you can see how this stuff works. All right, now let's go into the second portion of the video, which is basically me going over the details to help you out. That way you can get this to work live and your jiu-jitsu will be real. There are different ways to make side control more painful, and the nice thing about doing this is if you cause your opponent a little bit of pain, that actually distracts them from what you're trying to do. So here, Gary and I are practicing how to get that certain spot on the back where my hand is that creates a ton of pressure. So even if you are like 120 pounds, you can feel like you're 220 pounds if you have the right placement and the right technique. So you can see his face right there. I found the spot. So yeah, that is the pressure, is the invisible force that can really add a lot of pain and to jiu-jitsu. So the secret here is to not shoot your hand all the way to the low back. It's like right in the mid back that causes the most discomfort. So I'm pulling on his arm here, but in actuality, he would be putting that arm up himself because that is part of the escape to get out of side control. So he would be framing out, and then I would use that opportunity to put my hand in a position to get him the most uncomfortable. And here it is. Do you see that head? Do you see where I place my head? Hand on the hips and headstand to get my legs completely out of the equation to not get entangled. And then from there, press the shoulder. You're focused on getting their shoulder into their own neck because that's what causes the choke. So here I'm using a technique that you can basically inch your hand up. For me personally, when I am rolling, I pretend like I'm not going for it and I wait until they move their arm up enough for me to get my head wedged in their armpit. Like for me, I rely more on timing than to get their arm up. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I rely on timing more than technique or strength because if I get the timing right, then I don't need technique or strength or extra movement. I just wait until the time is right and try not to be so obvious about what I'm trying to do. But once you get your head in that position right there to the ground, you have pinned their arm in that position. They can't get it back. Like you're set. And so do you see how my other hand is in his armpit? That also secures the position. And here it is from a different angle. And you can see that bottom hand. So do you see my left arm? that arm right there, if you make an adjustment, one adjustment would be to use your right arm to pull that left arm like even tighter. That really cinches us up. So this can be done from, this is technically called side control number 3, but this can also be done if both of your elbows are over his torso in what we like to call side control number 2. So again, head to the ground. Think about getting his shoulder into his neck, because his shoulder into his neck and your bicep is what's choking him. And sometimes I do a defense of answering the phone. So what you can do in this situation is pull their arm so that you are basically Americana-ing them. Sometimes their arm can be over their chin, and if that's the case, the submission won't work. You have to make sure that their arm is down, and you can do that by angling the force downward. Of course, for me anyway, anything that I test out for the first time, rolling, it doesn't work. It's like building a car, you know what I mean? Like, I'll build it up and, you know, I'll build it up in the shop, and then we're gonna take it out and bring it to 10 miles an hour, and then the wheels fall off, and then you have to put it back in the shop. Build, add on some more, and then take it back out, and eventually it works. But for the head and arm choke, like, you know, like I've said, I've failed at that enough times to know how to make it work. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and of course, you know, I like to leave you with some positivity. I know obviously everything is easier said than done, but the key is to focus on the little wins along the way, because each time, if your focus is just like, okay, 2 main things that have really helped me is asking, why didn't that work? And you can even try to do that like right after the roll or right in the moment. I try not to, when I was a white belt, I tried not to do that too frequently because you're interrupting the roll. But like after the roll, you could also ask that, like, hey, like, why didn't that work? Like, did you feel that when I tried to do that? And if they don't remember, then I would be like, hey, can we just try to like re-simulate that? And then, you know, usually upper belts are like, yeah, sure. And then you can figure it out right then. Or you can go home and think about it and be like, okay, what are some things I'm gonna try next time I roll? That way I can figure it out. You know what I mean? So yeah. So there's always the beautiful thing about Jiu-Jitsu is that there's always a solution to your problem. There's always a solution. It's just being willing to ask the question of why didn't it work, and try not to get like emotions involved, which can be difficult if you're getting beat up all the time as a white belt and you're just kind of afraid of rolling. It's a challenging time. But it will eventually, things will eventually start working, okay? Especially if you focus on specific things and, you know, just focus on the details and try to be as technical as possible, especially if you're smaller, because that will help you out. All right, so thank you so much for watching. It's great to see you, and until next time.